Good morning, everyone. Welcome once again here on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Sports Network to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. And how many of you guys watched some baseball last night? I did. I watched a couple of games, and let's start off with that Astro A's game. A lot of runs early, a lot of runs late for the Astros. Carlos Correa, the much maligned fantasy player over the years. I've never had a Carlos Correa year where he played enough games to even account for anything. But last night against the Athletics in game one of the ALDS, Carlos Correa goes 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored. The Astros win game one, a regular season that saw Correa slug only 383 through 201 at bats. He now has, the 26-year-old, 3 home runs and 11 postseason at bats. He smacked the ball, if you watched it, over the fence in the Astro 3-run fourth, packed on a second blast in the 7th inning last night. He's probably the Astros' hottest hitter now in a suddenly alive Houston Astros lineup against Oakland heading into game 2 today. If you didn't like the performance from Correa, how about George Springer? He goes 4 for 5 yesterday with a run scored, a double, and an RBI. It was a 10-5 win. I mean, the Astros offense was just rolling. Springer, typically a great performer, not so much in the regular season, but in the playoffs. And this year, that's what he's showing once again, that in the playoffs, he is a clutch player. 14 at-bats in the playoffs this year, 5 hits. He's a free agent to be. He has a .553 career slugging percentage in playoff games. That's 53 playoff games as he heads into game 2 today. And then there's also one of my least favorite Astros, Alex Bregman, who went 2 for 4. Home run, 2 runs scored. In September, Bregman only hit 197, but he's hit the ball hard the last 2 playoff games. He's hitting 292 in 8 career playoff games. So just a look at the Astro 3 big stars from last night. There were others who performed really well. Here's the thing. We can look at box scores, certainly. We can look at the lines. But as I look at this Astros line, I look at the runs they scored where they have crooked numbers in innings. And of the 9 innings last night, they had a crooked number scored in 3 of them. In the 4th, in the 6th, and in the 9th. And those crooked numbers led to 9 of their 10 runs, 16 hits. So what does that say? The Astros, they score runs in bunches. Springer went 4 hits. Bregman went 2 hits. Correa went 3 hits. But also Tucker goes 2 for 5. And Altuve, 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Springer a double. Bregman a homer. Correa 2 homers. It was just an offensive onslaught. Now, pitching, a little bit to be desired there. McCullers got the start for game 1. He goes 4 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned, struck out 5, gave up 3 home runs himself. But after that, after the 4th inning, the Oakland A's not only didn't score, they didn't have a hit. Taylor pitched the 5th, Paredes the 6th and 7th, Javier the 8th, Presley the 9th. No hits after the 4th inning. Obviously, that would mean no runs. For the Athletics, Bassett went 4 innings, gave up 3 earned. It was a big error by Marcus Semien in that 6th inning that led to 4 unearned runs in that inning. Hitting wise for the A's, and again, this was all before the 4th inning. Semien 2 hits, Olsen a home run, Davis a home run, Murphy a home run. Everything after the 4th inning was goose eggs for the A's. So today in game 2, they look to rebound. Tonight, that'll be a 4:37 start Oakland and Houston from Dodger Stadium. Valdez going for the Astros, and Sean Manaea going for the Swinging A's. There was another game last night, of course. I like to save this one for last. The Yankees and the Rays. Started out each team scoring in the first inning. The Yankees score in the third. The Rays score 2 in the fourth. The Yankees score 2 in the fifth. And heading to the ninth inning, it's a 4-3 Yankee lead. What happens in the ninth inning? Has anyone noticed that Giancarlo Stanton has played 3 postseason games this year for the Yankees? Remember they swept their first 2 against Cleveland. Now they've played a third game against Tampa, and in all 3 games, Giancarlo Stanton has hit a home run. LeMahieu gets 2 hits. Hicks gets 3 hits. Judge hits a homer. Frazier hits a homer. Look, the ball that Clint Frazier hit out, it almost looked like a wiffle ball bat swing. It was, you're waiting on the knuckleball, wiffle ball to get there. You're queued up. All of a sudden, whoosh, it was just that quick. Going through the zone, I don't know if anyone has a quicker bat than Clint Frazier. And I wore my hat today, of course, in honor of Mr. Judge, you see. I thought about wearing my robe, but I may do that if he hits another home run tonight on Thursday's show. But no bat quicker than Clint Frazier. Stanton hit the homer. Urshela playing probably some of the best third base. I'm watching the game with my brother last night, who is a lifelong Yankee fan. And as Urshela makes a play early in the game, he looks at me and says, "That was nettleish." Now, if you're back to my era, you know what being nettleish means. Good morning, John Hewitt. I want you to go by the magistrate's office in Lenoir County today and tell that guy handling small claims what a great Yankee team he has to pull for. How about that? Gleyber Torres with a hit, Frazier with the homer, Gardner gets a hit late. Higashioka, home run again. He went 2 for 4. He's Garrett Cole's personal catcher. Frankly, I think he ought to play every day. Cole pitched 6 innings, struck out 8, gave up 2 home runs himself. Like Houston's bullpen shut down the Athletics after the starter went out, so did the Yankee bullpen. Over the last 3 innings with Chad Green and Britton and Sessa, no hits were allowed to the Rays. For the Rays last night, Blake Snell goes 5, gives up 6 hits, 4 earned, struck out 4, but he gave up 3 big home runs. And those 3 big home runs were amazing. I did watch with amazement Arizarena, the outfielder for Tampa. He came over last year in the offseason from St. Louis. He is a player. He's batting 3rd in the order for the Rays. He went 3 for 4 last night. You know, I almost would lead him off if I were Tampa. Yandy Diaz led off. You know, Yandy missed about the last month of the regular season. Did not play much at all. He's back in the leadoff spot. He goes 0 for 4. Brandon Lau goes 0 for 3. So their top 2 hitters go 0 for 7. And there in the 3 hole was Arizarena going 3 for 4. After that, G-Man Choi hit a homer. But not much after that in the order. Only 2 more hits. They only had 6 hits on the night. Tonight for Tampa, it's going to be Tyler Glasnow. 2 opinions here. Paul O'Neill and Arnie Jones. We both say Tyler Glasnow is the best pitcher Tampa has. Is this a must-win? Maybe not. I think it is. I think when you're down 1-0 in a best-of-5, you got to win game 2. A lot of people will say game 3. I think game 3 is most important in a 7-game set. I think game 2 may be most important in a 5-game set, which this is. They're playing today at 8:10 p.m. tonight at San Diego's Petco Park. And here's an interesting play. The Yankees have named Louis Garcia, as their starting pitcher for tonight. Devi Garcia, he's 3-2 on the season. He looks small of stature, but he has a tremendous arsenal of pitches. Devi getting that playoff start tonight in lieu of Tanaka. Most thought Tanaka would get the start today. Not happening. It's going to be Debbie Garcia and Tyler Glasnow going at it tonight, game 2 of the ALCS. So let's talk about a little National League, because we avoided that altogether yesterday. And first of all, there's a couple of things to look at. I want to talk about the Miami Marlins. Starling Marte, his hand, he's uncertain as to his availability against the Braves. Marte fractured his pinky finger in game 1 against the Cubs, and there is, quote, no determination, end of quote, on his status. If he doesn't play, outfielder Magneuris Sierra could earn another start in center field. But Marte is such an integral part of this Marlins offense. The Marlins, again, open today at 2:08. They're the first game today. They play in Houston at Minute Maid Park. Sandy Alcantara going against Max Fried. Those are some great young pitchers. Let's keep our eyes and ears open on the status of Starling Marte. Let's see what happens to him and where he's looking to land. Clevenger and Lamet, I can't wait to see the rosters of the Padres. Will Clevenger and Lamet be on the NLDS roster? You know, they were not on the wild card roster. Excuse me. Clevenger with the squeaky balking elbow, Lamet with the bicep injury. They were playing catch. They were throwing bullpens. Did not play against the Cardinals at all. I think for them to have a Chinaman's chance, as they say, I think to have a chance at all, the Padres, they have to have these two pitchers. And without them, it's going to be a tough road to hoe as we get into the playoffs for the Padres against the Dodgers. Now, starting, let's see, I told you the starters for today. Marlins will start Pablo Lopez in game 2 and Sixto Sanchez in game 3 against the Atlanta Braves. What kind of chance do you give the Marlins in the playoffs against the Braves? Do you think this could go 5? Do you think that there's a sweep? You know, the Marlins are such a comeback at you team. When you think they have no chance, they have shown you such resilience, such fortitude. They just don't say quit. They can't say die. We will see how Don Mattingly's forces play today against Atlanta. Atlanta, on the other hand, look what they did to Cincinnati. They combined power, they combined pitching, a great combination in the playoffs. And Max Fried, who pitched shutout ball in the division, in the wild card round, goes today for the Braves. The Braves hitters, they have been incredible. They were great against Cincinnati. Look, you won't find many starting pitching staffs better than the Reds. The Braves scored runs, timely runs. They've got a great lineup. Ronald Acuna Jr., one of the great stars, Freddie Freeman, but he goes much deeper than that. And so as you look at Atlanta going against the Marlins, I think you'd have to say Atlanta is the favorite for sure. Now, does that mean that the Braves will win and not? Who knows? It's baseball, right? But they're returning to the NLDS for the 3rd straight year, 22 scoreless innings in their sweep of the Reds. Now, the Braves have not had postseason success. The Marlins have never lost a postseason series in their history. Write that one down. Tell me another team that has never lost a postseason series in their team history. Okay? Whereas the Braves are trying to avoid becoming the first team in Major League history to lose 11 consecutive postseason series. When did the Braves last win a playoff series? 2001, when they swept the Astros in the NLDS. 2001. It's been 19 years since the Braves have won a postseason series of any kind. So Quintera, Max Fried, probably in that Atlanta game today, Don Mattingly will have Miguel Rojas in the leadoff spot instead of Corey Dickerson because the left-handed pitcher on the mound. Dickerson will probably move down the order. Lewis Brinson has platooned in right field with Matt Joyce. He's expected to start today. That's Lewis Brinson. But everything is in flux until we know the story on Starling Marte. Here's what I think their probable lineup will be. Rojas, Bertie playing second base, Aguilar at DH, Cooper at first, Brian Anderson at third, Corey Dickerson in left, Lewis Brinson in right, Monty Harrison, who's a great athlete. Watch this Monty Harrison kid. He is something. And if he can pull it together, he could be a truly great player in the mold of a Bo Jackson type. Chad Wallach will be catching. So that's your probable lineup today for the Marlins. For the Braves, the probable lineup will be Acuna Jr. in center, Freddie Freeman batting second, Ozuna playing DH and batting third, Travis d'Arnaud at catcher hitting cleanup, Ozzie Albies hitting fifth playing second base, Duvall in left, Dansby at short, Markakis in right, and Austin Riley at third base. That should be a great team, great players, great young players, great pitching. It's really shaping up for a fantastic series, the Atlanta Marlins series. And then there's the Dodgers and the Padres. Wow. Tonight, the Padres haven't named a starter yet. The Dodgers are going to let Walker Buehler start. Buehler has had the blister problem of late. And so I'm not quite sure how deep he'll go into the game. There's a rivalry here, Dodgers, Padres, California teams playing in Texas. Gotta love it. But they've had both some really breakout players this year. Will Myers has really broken out this year. Of course, there's Fernando Tatis, who probably is arguably maybe the best player in the game. If he's not, Mookie Betts may well be. Betts coming over to the Dodgers from Boston his first year. Both teams have dynamic lineups. It all boils down to pitching, in my opinion, and right now the Dodgers are a few steps ahead. It all depends on the status of Clevenger, of Lamet, and a sneaky play would be, what if the Padres called up their ace left-handed pitcher from North Carolina, who didn't play all year? But there's a chance you could see Mackenzie Gore in the playoffs. We've seen other teams do it. Could Mackenzie Gore be placed on this postseason roster, having not pitched all year? You talk about hitters having a book on a pitcher, right? There is no book on Mackenzie Gore at the major league level because he's never faced a major league hitter. All year long, we fantasy hypes. We wanted him called up from the Padres, from their minor league field to the major league field. It never happened. And I wonder if it was all because now he could be brought out, never seen him before in a major league game, no book on him. It would not shock me. Now, it would be a surprise. I just simply would not be shocked if that were to happen. Let's talk about in the last few minutes here. Those games are this afternoon and tonight. Give you the schedule one more time, and then we'll talk a little fantasy football to end the day. So today it's 2 o'clock, Marlins and Braves, 4:37, Astros and Athletics, 8:10 p.m., Yankees and Tampa Bay, and at 9:38 p.m., the Dodgers and Padres conclude the baseball day. I think I've been telling you about my fantasy team and my 14-team football league, and I started the year. Let's look at these scores. You got to love this. Week 1, okay? Week 1, in my matchup, I lost 114 to 110, 4 points. And in that week, I had injuries occur to the following. I lost my defender, Van Der Esch, for the Cowboys in the first quarter, okay? And he went on the IR. I lost Greg Kittle, my tight end beast, in the first half. He went out early. And then I also lost James Conner. one of my stud running backs. If those guys play, I win week 1. But I didn't, so we move on to week 2. And in week 2, I lose 109 to 107.02. And in that week, I start the Texans' great wide receiver, Will Fuller, and he gives me 0 points. 0 points. I started Emmanuel Sanders for New Orleans, who I cut afterwards. You don't catch passes, I cut you. Emmanuel Sanders in that particular game scored 3 points. 3 points. That's right. On only 1 catch. Had those guys performed at all, or had Kittle not got hurt, a lot of ifs, right? I've been 2-0, but as it is, I'm 0-2. So I go to week 3 last week, and I win 170 to 104. Yes, my team was angry. We had meetings. Russell Wilson continues to go off. Keenan Allen the same. James Conner fighting back. Zeke Elliott underperformed, and that's going to come back to be talked about in just a moment. But my Indianapolis defense scored 26 points, and I win by 65 points in week 3. This week, I'm playing a team that was 3-0. I was 1-2. I need that win. I need to go to 2-2. I need for him to fall to 3-1, and it happens. I win 144 to 113. And what do I attribute it to this week? Well, it's the return of Will Fuller scoring 20 points. It's the return of Jerick McKinnon, who scores 19 points. But the big player Sunday was Greg Kittle for the 49ers, my tight end, who had 15 targets, 15 catches, 183 yards, and a touchdown. And if you watch the game, there was no doubt he was a man among boys. And so I win last night, after last night's game, when my opponent had Julian Edelman, who only scored 5 points, and he had Rex Burkhead, who only scored 5.5 points. I win 144 to 113. That's a big 31-point victory. So now I head into week 5 with a new tailback. I make a trade. Fantasy's about making trades. And I look down at the schedule. 8 teams in my league make the playoffs. I'm trying to gear up for the playoffs in a way. I know it's early, but I trade and get Josh Jacobs for Zeke Elliott. The Cowboys are so pass dependent this year, and they're behind almost in every game. Their defense is so bad, they're going to throw the ball 60 times a game. Yeah, Zeke's going to catch some passes, but they're going to be touchdown pass dependent so much. Whereas the Raiders have incorporated Josh Jacobs into the passing game, into the running game. He's now my tailback. My lineup for week 5 will be, are you ready? Because I know you're writing this down. I've got Russell Wilson at quarterback, Will Fuller and D.C. Lamb at wide receiver, James Conner and Josh Jacobs at running back, Kittle at tight end, and Keenan Allen as my flex. I've got a kicker from Arizona. They're playing the Jets, Gonzalez. I've got the Indy defense against Cleveland. And my question is my defensive player, who's Miles Jack, who was hurt Sunday. If he is not available, I will have to go in and pick up a defender. I've already made 2 of my 4 moves this week. I added back Justin Herbert because next week, week 6, I'll be without Russell Wilson. I want to go ahead and make sure I had Herbert this week because there isn't a lot of good pickings out there at quarterback. And I added T. Higgins. T. Higgins caught 4 of 7 targets for 77 yards in week 4 against the Jags. He's coming off of a breakout 2-score game in week 3. He saw more targets than A.J. Green. The Bengals think enough of Higgins that they made John Ross a healthy scratch the last 2 weeks. So Higgins is starting to emerge as the Bengals' top red zone threat with Z.J. Uzuma out for the year. So if Higgins is available in your league and you're in need of a wide receiver, you could do worse. So who did I drop? Well, last week I had added Giovanni Bernard because of the potential injury to the Bengals tailback. Well, that didn't happen, and neither did Bernard. So he's sayonara this morning. And also I cut Jimmy Graham. I picked up Graham in the event that Kittle didn't play. Kittle played. Not only did Kittle play, he owned the joint. I don't have a need for Graham because he and Kittle have the exact same bye week. So it's adios, Jimmy Graham, and as I add those 2 new players. Still gives me 2 pickups for the rest of the week. I'll hold on to those like they're treasured gold, and we'll see how it goes. So today, again, thank you for being with me, either in the chat room, which is always a pleasure. It's a great chat room. Lenny and Andrea, thank you for everything you do to set the network up and keep us going. And for you guys that are listening. Also, for those of you listening on Facebook, I'll be back here on Thursday. And until then, I want everybody to have a great day. Enjoy baseball, and I'll see you right back here Thursday morning on Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports.